Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar. And just a quick note, please use the chat functionality if you have any questions. And please also note that this session is being recorded. My name is Hasmukh Chudasama. I work with BUI based in Nairobi. And I'll ask the rest of the team members to introduce themselves.
Yes, good morning. Stephen Panamadva, part of a company called Sendmarc, proud partner of BUI on M2M in Kenya. And yeah, we're looking forward to having a great conversation with you guys today.
Thank you, Stephen. My name is Esther Mugi. I'm the sales consultant at BUI based in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for joining us.
Good, thank you. So I work with BUI M2M. Those of you who are very familiar with M2M, welcome to the BUI world. I'll just briefly talk about the acquisition as well. So what does BUI M2M do? Very strong in the security space. If you have nightmares around ransomware, you see in the newspapers all the time these days, and we are the guys to talk to. Security posture, security assessments, and very strong and big on the Azure space as well, where we take our clients into the Azure journey with security in mind, drive adoption and change management, got advanced specializations in a number of areas. And I'll speak briefly about who BUI is. Founded in the year 2000, so it's not a young company. It's been 20 plus years now, and became part of the First Tech Group in 2015, and been seeing tremendous growth over the years. And in 2021, M2M Systems, which was based in Kenya, was acquired by BUI, and I joined M2M or BUI, I think in April this year. And what are the areas we focus on? Cloud, as I mentioned, Azure, O365, and mobility with Microsoft. Managed services is a big area for us as well, where we take you to the cloud journey, but we also manage your environment. And security is a big focus for us. We're the first partner in Africa to be certified for identity security in Africa. And ISV is where we talk about co-sell that we have with Microsoft that we take to market. Some of the awards that have been won over the last few years, you will see a lot of security, a lot of Azure, modern workplace, and advanced specializations for identity and access management and threat management. And anything to do with security and Azure, you need to talk to us because we are the leaders in that space. We do a lot of work in the fast track space where we drive adoption or consumption of cloud technologies and bring a lot of change management capabilities there. Do some work with Microsoft Consulting Services as well. And we have solutions that are in the Azure Marketplace. Good. I will ask Stephen to take over from there.
Thank you very much, Hasmukh, and thanks for the introduction. Really do appreciate it. Right, folks. As Hasmukh has mentioned, they're a leader in their area for a number of reasons: Azure, cloud, Microsoft, etc. And we've partnered with Sendmarc has rather partnered with M2M, BUI Kenya, specifically to extend that cloud reach for security into the Kenyan industry, to the Kenyan markets. And this conversation today is pretty much important for everybody that works in any industry, any vertical, any market, and so on. So just as an introduction, what we're going to be discussing today is essentially how the world's best IT engineers almost solved a $500 billion a year problem. They almost solved it. They've got the technology into the door, and essentially they need the rest of our help now to finish the job. They've given us the tools, and we need to make sure that we can assist them in finishing this job and protecting businesses globally. So before we delve into what this is, what DMARC is, brand protection, how secure is your email, etc., I wanted to take you through a quick story of an organization that's on the screen right now, the FACC. And it may or may not be an organization that you will know, but the majority of people that I speak to don't know about this organization anymore, or don't know of this organization, in fact, because of what's happened. This company around 2016, 2017, they were one of the biggest suppliers of engine parts and aviation parts to Airbus, to Boeing, to Bombardier, etc., etc. And it was actually started by this gentleman over here, Walter Stefan, who was the founder and CEO. And it was the one year he was actually on holiday with his family, left the company in the hands of his some 3,500 employees. And he was away in 2015 in Istanbul, and he was having a wonderful time. And he was there for about a month or so. And by the time he got back from holiday, he was actually arrested and taken into custody for arguably one of the biggest cybersecurity breaches the world has ever seen. And just the number on the screen that you're seeing there, almost 50 million euros was the attack that actually happened as a result of what we call impersonation attacks. So that's phishing, spoofing, impersonations, and that like. This was an actual email that was sent from Mr. Walter Stefan to certain individuals in his business to say, guys, we need to pay this amount of money over to this account. We've started and landed a new project. We need to start paying for the materials, etc., etc. And it looks like it actually came from Mr. Walter Stefan. At the time, he was obviously still on holiday in Turkey, which clearly wasn't him. What had happened was the attack happened. They sent through the money. The entire board of directors was fired and let go. The financial consultants that were assisting them were also fired and let go. And their share prices, the FACC, dropped almost 30 points in a single afternoon. Fortunately, they were able to recover around 9 million euros, but the net loss for the organization was still just under 21 million euros, all from one single impersonation attack that came through via email to certain individuals inside his organization. Needless to say, you can Google it, you can have a look at it, but he was fired quite shortly after this, just purely because of the lack of insight and entry into what is actually going on inside of his business. Okay, so it's quite a scary story, and something that is happening all around the world. I think, in fact, 75% of all cyber breaches start and originate with impersonation or interception attacks via mail. Okay. So how did this happen, and what can we learn from this going forward? And this is why it's so important to partner with organizations like BUI, M2M, and let them assist you with the cloud evolution and the evolving threat landscape, right? Because it's changing all the time, and we can't be expected to stay ahead of this every step of the way. That's why we rely on partnerships like we have with Hasmukh and the team. So essentially, if you're having a look at a cyber criminals toolkit, and I'm trying to keep it as lighthearted and simplistic as possible, but essentially these hackers have got many number of tools in their arsenals. And if we have a look at the hammer as probably one of the most essential tools in their toolkit, being an impersonation attack, right? That's where someone violates your identity, pretends to be you, pretends to be someone in your organization, either talking to someone of importance in your company, or in fact talking to your customers. Now imagine how scary that would be, is if somebody pretended to be you guys talking to your customers, asking them to make payments into the wrong accounts, etc. But let's just focus on impersonation for a second, because it's the most important one that we are trying to solve here, because there's not a lot of companies that can unequivocally say that they can make this go away overnight. The problem that persists around email, and this is why we have partnered with Hasmukh and the team, is from their experience and expertise into Microsoft, into Azure, into the mail platform. It's highly important to understand that there is still an email problem that persists today, right? And that's the likes of impersonation and interception mails. Right? Now, this impersonation, I'm not talking about impersonation coming into your organization. I'm talking about someone pretending to be you talking to your customers, right? And that exists outside of your domain of control or your realm of control when it comes to email, okay? The second thing here is there's a general lack of visibility and audit into mails leaving a person's organization or a customer's organization. And there might be a delivery issue, right? So how secure is your mail? Well, if we can see impersonations happening on your mail, if we can see that there's interceptions happening, we don't have visibility and audit functionality for that. It's quite evident that the mail can be further secured, and that's why you have to work with partners like Sendmarc and BUI. By fixing those problems, these are the damages that DMARC specifically we're talking about and how secure your mail is. By fixing those problems, these are the damages that we're going to be avoiding. They all carry a financial aspect or a financial connotation to them, for things like deposit fraud, identity theft. In fact, I was a victim of identity theft quite recently, where I got an email from my bank or my investment corporation asking me if I actually want to liquidate an investment that I'd given them instruction to do. And I phoned them up straight away and I said, absolutely not. I don't know where you got this information from. And they showed it to me. It was an email that looked like it came from my Gmail account. So I had to put some additional security measures in place there. From ransomware distribution, I mean, how sure are you that mails are being sent to your customers that are secure, that are safe, that aren't ridden with ransomware, with impersonation attacks, with malicious URLs, etc., etc.? Quite a huge problem that we need to solve over here. And then lastly, reputation damage, right? Your reputation in the industry, regardless of your vertical, regardless of your business dealings, whether it be financial, whether it be manufacturing, etc., etc. Reputation is everything for businesses, especially over the last couple of years due to COVID, etc. So how do these particular attacks happen, right? And this is where the DMARC solution comes into this. And this is something that we are utilizing for BUI customers in Kenya, for South African customers and customers globally, right? When we subscribe as businesses to these services, we give them permission to send mail on our behalf. That's how they work. That's how they've always worked. And essentially, that is what their main job is. So Microsoft, Google, they're two of the biggest senders of mail globally. You may have additional security layers as a secure email gateway, being Synac, Mimecast, whoever it is. But we subscribe to these services and we give them permission to send to our staff, to our customers, and to our suppliers, or to the rest of the world, in fact. And that's fine. That's legal. That's what they're there for. That's their jobs. Problem is, there's nothing governing or stopping the attackers from doing the exact same thing, right? Firstly, we don't know that these attackers are doing this because it sits outside of our realm of control. We don't have visibility into this. Secondly, I think we can agree it would be a massive problem or a huge problem for our business if there are bogus or fraudulent mails going to our customers, to our staff, and to our suppliers, right? They can cause quite a lot of havoc. So how have we protected against this in the past? Well, the thinking that we have, traditional thinking that we have as business owners and as security specialists in our field is, well, let's put a perimeter around our mailbox, around our staff, around our organization. And that's absolutely necessary, right? We're not in any way saying that we are replacing any perimeter security. You need to have the in-depth laid security approach being antivirus, anti-spam. You need to have your sandboxes, you need to have your firewalls, your network security, etc. To stop impersonators from impersonating the likes of your mailboxes and your staff. The problem is your staff may be protected by the existing security perimeters, but these guys aren't. Let's agree that these aspects of these entities don't sit inside your network. So therefore, how can we protect against them? Or how can we protect them against their impersonations and these impersonators, right? That's exactly where DMARC comes into play. What DMARC does is, firstly, it's a global solution, right? It's not something that we as Sendmarc have created, or BUI, or whatever the case is. There were a lot of individuals that got together, some of the best IT engineers in the world, in fact, got together to solve a $500 billion problem that persists every year. And that's where they need our help to implement DMARC on our own side to make sure that we can extend that net of protection to our customers, our suppliers, and to the rest of the world. Now, DMARC works in a couple of ways. It's a set of rules and instructions that basically tell the rest of the world who your authorized senders are, who's allowed to send mail on your behalf. That encompasses things like SPF, that encompasses things like DKIM, and we can get further technical into this. But at a high level, how this works is, if you have a look at this picture over here, or this image on your screen, let's agree that you're sitting over here as an organization needing to send mail to your staff, to your customers and your suppliers. It's highly important, firstly, that those mails go through. So do we have visibility and auditing on delivery? Can we see that those mails have been successfully delivered? Can we prove that they've been successfully delivered without being tampered with? Okay. Side, the impersonators or the attackers are trying to do the same thing. Because we've built a perimeter around our business so well, they're starting to attack us at different levels, right? So they're sending messages or emails to our staff, to our customers, and to our suppliers, effectively to the rest of the world. Now, where DMARC comes in, it's a set of instructions to your mail environment that basically states in the DNS layer, in fact, that any mail coming from your organization through Microsoft, through Google, through Mimecast, Symantec, SAP, Sage, whoever it is, DMARC authorizes those as authorized senders, meaning that they are legitimate, meaning that they should be sent through to their destination, and they should in fact be delivered successfully. Now, having DMARC in place over here, that's telling the rest of the world over here, suppliers and customers alike, to accept mails from authorized senders. That will be between you and these recipients over here. And that all happens at a DNS layer. It's not a person that actually sits and accepts these. Now, you can think of the impersonators sending on the same sort of wavelength or the same sort of emails. They don't have the necessary authentications from a DMARC perspective. So these messages over here, although they get accepted from your side at a policy level, they get accepted. But from a policy level over here, the policy stipulates in these are unauthorized senders, so therefore these mails should be rejected. Okay. Just going to explain that in a summary quickly. We're talking about how secure your email is, not necessarily your email coming into your organization, but how secure your mails are going out of your organization. Making sure that they're not intercepted, making sure that they're not reprogrammed or readjusted, banking details changed, so that these become victims of something that we should be the custodians of fixing. So with DMARC at a DNS layer, DMARC records being present, it's telling the rest of the world from email recipients, hey, it's coming from Stephen, it's coming from his authorized senders, as Microsoft, as Google, whoever. The policy stipulates we should accept this based on the rule set. Therefore, the messages or the emails actually get accepted. On the attacker side, they don't have the necessary protocols in place. They don't have the authentication keys and codes, etc. Therefore, the policy says unauthorized senders, please reject. So these mails actually get rejected in protocol, and these recipients don't actually see the mails at all whatsoever. Okay. So with that in mind, I mean, we've gone through the importance of having DMARC. It protects a realm of email where we usually don't have protection or visibility and audit. We've gone through how it basically works at a high level, and my hope is that after today's conversation, we have a lot more one-on-ones with Hasmukh and Esther and the team, so we can delve into this, because it's very specific per organization. There's no, here's a general rule set, go and apply it. It's bespoke to your organization, and that's where Sendmarc comes in. We're proudly South African or African business, and we take pride in the fact that our staff, our skill set, our engineers, our technology is ours, it's proprietary to us, and we only partner with the best of the best in terms of IT management, IT services providers, etc., etc. And in fact, at this point in time, I believe that Hasmukh and the team are the only partner we have in Kenya at this state, which is absolutely fantastic. And we're having lots of conversations on a daily basis. But why partner with Sendmarc? Well, firstly, we integrate with pretty much any sending service, Office 365, Google, Proofpoint, Synapse. This platform is built API first, right? So that we can pull any of this information into your systems, into your technologies as much as we can through the API. With DMARC being installed or DMARC being configured, it generates a lot of confusing reports that need to be interpreted and understood by a human being. And we find that the possibility or the chance for human error there is quite high. So we've designed a software platform at Sendmarc that understands and interprets these policies and these protocols for DMARC. So who's sending on your behalf? Are the messages being delivered successfully? Are they coming from authorized senders? So if they are authorized senders, why is it originating from China or the Ukraine or Russia or whatever the case is? We provide the professional services with Hasmukh and the team as well to make sure that we get the work done, right? There's no point in buying a piece of technology and just letting it sit there and hoping that it will get done. We help implement and make sure that the DMARC policies speak true and improve your email protection and security as well. And something we do to give back to our customers, we do provide training, certification, technical on that. So that is absolutely free of charge. Once you become a customer, we do provide you training and certification for DMARC. And once you join with Sendmarc, and we get you to a fully protected state across your domains, we provide a security certificate for DMARC every quarter, so every 3 months, for your business, for your domain, stating that these domains are protected and secured by DMARC. And that is utilized, or that can be utilized for audit tools and audit findings as well. Okay. Before I jump into the case study, which will take me maybe 2 to 3 minutes, are there any questions? Any questions in the conversation panel? Is this making sense to everybody? Okay, I'm going to take that as a yes. Any questions, please feel free to ask. So let's put this all together now. Let's try and see if we can understand this at a higher level. I'm going to give you some insight from the case study that we did. And this is for one of the biggest automotive vehicle manufacturers in South Africa. I think they're about 10,000 users strong, and they obviously have multiple domains. Okay. So what you're seeing over here is a first glimpse of before us doing any work. And Esther will talk about it in a second, but we do offer a free analysis or a free evaluation that has no commitments whatsoever. But this customer came to us and they said that they were losing about R1 million a month in lost vehicle transactions. We did this analysis for them. So this is their live data, obviously with their names blurred out. What we can start to see as well, straight off the bat, is that there's around 1.2 million emails being sent using their domains on a monthly basis. And that's coming from around 1,500 or 1,500 different IP sources. So it becomes an absolute nightmare to track. And when you think you've only got 1 or 2 sending sources, but you've actually got 1,500, it becomes an absolute nightmare to track. Looking at their overall DMARC compliance, right? Are they signing with SPF? Are they signing with DKIM? Is DMARC enforced? Only 22% roughly of the 1.2 million emails were actually passing the evaluation criteria. And that was a big problem for them, because what was happening is the red that you can see over here were mails being sent on their behalf that possibly didn't originate from their business, originate from their organization. We can show you as a customer where these mails are coming from. So if you are in Kenya, if you are in Africa, and you don't do business per se with Russia or with China or whatever, those are seen as potential threats. And we actively help stop those mails from going through. We have a look at your legitimate senders. Remember, I mentioned that DMARC works off illegitimate and legitimate senders, and we help make sure that the legitimate senders are the ones sending your mail, and the illegitimate senders are actually not the ones sending the mail. So we have a look and we go, okay, these are legitimate senders, and we actually start doing the work with you as a customer to ensure that these are passing the DMARC layers, so that's SPF and DKIM. And once we start working and configuring these correctly, the overall DMARC compliance of the mail goes up. And this was a huge shock to them, because they didn't know as a customer where their authorized senders were or who their authorized senders were. Okay, so this is where they were trying to understand why or how they were losing 1 vehicle a month or 1 million rand a month in vehicle losses or transactions. So then we took them through the attacking sources, and we looked at stuff coming from China, from different source IP addresses from around the world, etc., etc. And it was a huge problem for them because they had no way of stopping this. Firstly, with DMARC and with Sendmarc, we gave them visibility into who was using their domains for nefarious activity, where it was coming from around the world, so we could tell them, okay, it was coming from China, it was coming from overseas, and it was coming from these particular IP addresses, some more as well. And you'll see the volume quite low, but let's agree that it could probably take one mail that is successful in delivery to result in an impersonation attack. Okay. Having a look at the threats, having a look at the threats, where we were able to show them from IP addresses, from companies, etc., where these threat volumes were coming from. And working with us and working with DMARC, it puts a stop to the ability, or it puts a stop to these sources from being able to send on their behalf without them knowing. You can see that the threat over here is that these came from blacklisted sources. So what eventually we were able to do is provide great defense for them. And we do have various types of reporting. Obviously, some carry personal information and most don't. But we did have an NDA and a back-to-back agreement signed with this customer. This was actually an attacking mail that came through. We picked up on this particular mail, and we were able to stop these mails from being delivered to internal staff members and to customers alike. Okay. So prior to joining Sendmarc and working with DMARC and us, losing R1 million a month. Post joining, which was a couple of weeks later, it was about 3 weeks later, we were able to put a stop to that, saving them about R1 million a month in losses. Okay. Some learnings we can take away from this. We're hoping to, show you that DMARC is an external auditing tool. It is a global standard, it is a global solution. It's being enforced more and more now, global entities and government officials. But it does point out where existing services need work. So existing configurations on Microsoft, on Google, on Symantec, on Synac, or whoever it is. It does show where providers tend to make mistakes, where they can make mistakes, and we help fix that. It shows, unfortunately, but it's the truth, that attacks are happening. People are using, criminals are using your domains to talk to your customers and to your partners. And the last thing is that you can be proactive here rather than having to wait for something to go wrong. Let's be proactive about it. Work with the Sendmarc team, work with Hasmukh and the BUI team in Kenya. We can be proactive around this. And if there's one thing that you can walk away with today, and that's something that we can assist you with, that will make your company, your staff, and your suppliers essentially safer, it's just adding a DMARC record to your DNS. Right? It doesn't cost you anything. It's not locking you into any commitments, but at least give you visibility into who's using your domains for good and bad purposes. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'm going to now hand over to Esther to wrap up, if there are no questions.
Thank you, Stephen. So we would like to thank everyone who's joined us today with first just offering you an exposure analysis report where you can be free 2-week POC period where we can be able to just take you through on what the challenges that you are having with your emails. So we'll also give you an analysis report. We will give you a plan on how to make sure that now your emails are more secure, and we'll also provide a one-on-one session with us and Stephen from Sendmarc, just to make sure that you understand some of the challenges that you're having, just the same thing Stephen has just presented. We would like to do that for you, just to thank you for taking your time for today. And you might be wondering, how do we know if our emails are secure? So we have a link here where you can just click on that link, check how secure your domain is. And for me, I had tried with our domain, the BUI domain. Just a minute. And for us, it's already at a 5. However, just key in your email address there and then do an analysis. So this analysis will tell you how secure your domain is. I hope you can still see. And for bui.co, it's currently at 5/5, but some of your domains you might find like it's at a 2/5. Don't worry, don't panic. We are here to help. So we should be able to get in touch with you and just take you through on the POC period. So the POC period will totally be free, and note that period we will also not interfere with your current email settings. So we will just basically try and show you some of the challenges and also some of the threats that currently happening with your domain. So we hope to talk to you on a one-on-one basis. And apart from that, I don't know, Stephen would like to thank you, also everyone who's participated and everyone who's joined us. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll be in touch, each of you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of us. Thank you.